The Girls Frontline Anime OP just dropped. You know, that show that's not JoJo that Warner Bros. Japan is shilling. As a Girls Frontline fan, it's kinda cool to see all the references in the anime opening, and I'd like to share what I caught. Also, I'm gonna try to dance around spoilers, but try and make it obvious enough that people who do know will get what I'm talking about. So, no spoilers in this. Right away, the first shot of the opening evokes the feeling of the garden that M4 sees in chapter 10 of the game after learning about the truth and the girl. While it's not an exact match of the garden, the next element added to the scene, the butterfly, further connects the beginning of the opening with the garden. The butterfly painfully obviously represents the butterfly incident, which was a failed operation that led to the death of an important AI scientist and was the catalyst for the story of Girls Frontline. And just like the butterfly incident starting Girls Frontline, the butterfly starts up the opening. While the bullets are generic enough to just pass off as random generic bullets because guns, I feel like I've seen something similar to this before pertaining to Girls Frontline. I went to see if any of the old Girls Frontline promotional material did a similar shot before, in which I was reminded that Operation Cube did something similar with UMP-45's introduction. But that's not what I was thinking of, so I'm just gonna leave this open to see if anyone can find it. We then see a shot of M4's hand doing that thing where two hands try to meet up and miss each other. I guess it could be a generic human hand or the commander's hand and a generic robot or M4's hand, but I like the idea of M4 being a schizo, and the scenes around are also about M4. So, the clouds growing with the lighting growing darker in the next shot is telling the audience that a rainstorm is coming, which leads into the introduction of our protagonist, the AR team, or anti-rain team. The scene after the music drops is a sight that's not too uncommon for Girls Frontline fans. M4 is just kinda moping around being depressed while sitting. I don't think it's supposed to be any specific time, just a thing that we could find M4 doing a lot. We then get to see some overt symbolism showing how M4 feels controlled and trapped, with the puppet being inside some sort of glass cage. Nothing too exciting. It's just the robots are all slaves and all the morality that you see in other stories featuring androids. Then we get to STAR-15 or just Star. And man, this one little thing of her holding an umbrella means so much. Star is holding an umbrella, which could represent anti-rain, but also is a huge spoiler that's really nice to see it represented in this way. It is the kind of thing that slowly, as you gain more knowledge, means so many different things. It goes from, oh, girl holding an umbrella, to, that's nice, Star's representing her team, to, oh yeah, Star has the umbrella. I don't really want to spoil it too much, but damn, the balls to put a spoiler like this into full view. Sopmod's introduction is interesting to say the most. All it really shows is a reference to her damage art from the game in a ruined church. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think churches were that important in the Sangus Fieri era of the game. The god lighting on her could be a reference to how she will be a savior to the Griffin Misfits in the far off future, but I really doubt it. I could pretend and say how this scene is actually super deep or something, and say that the camera focusing on her cleavage is actually a reference to where her power core is, and in the future we're gonna get a throwback to this scene with the skin being peeled off the way to reveal her core. But no, that's not gonna happen. Since there seems to be no sign of Ro and a lack of focus on Sop in the opening, I'll doubt we even get to see Sop's character shine at all in the anime. Sop showing us her left hand and transitioning into the Sangus Fieri ringleaders is also a really cool throwback to Umi Neko's original design ideas for Sopmod, and a small plot point that isn't really brought up much: the fact that she stole her left hand from a poor Sangus Fieri doll. We then get to see which SF ringleaders will have prominence in the anime. Kinda hard to miss, but they are Executioner, Intruder, Scarecrow, Hunter, Dreamer, Destroyer, and Agent, with the Mastermind also appearing. The Mastermind's portrait is also a recreation of her silhouette CG that was used a lot when we didn't know her actual name or what she looked like. Alchemist not being in the lineup makes me think that we're actually not going to get to the part where the story really kicks off with the Mastermind being discovered. M16 has some Jack Daniels like whiskey on her desk. I think the label says King Lanos, but I'm not 100% sure. The Mastermind being on M16's computer could be a reference to future events, or just a way to transition the scene. I'm not too sure. M16 missing her Metal Gear-esque eye patch is to show that she gained that scar and eye patch when she was with 416. Hopefully this means that the ending is 404 focused and has a similar shot, or there's a B-side to the opening that focuses on 404 and has a similar scene. The thing that M16 is running to is thematically Sangus Fieri, alluding to what M16 will do in the future. I feel like I have seen this specific thing before, but for the life of me I can't find it. Hey, me from the future here. Actually, I do remember where this scene takes place now. It's a reference to the butterfly incident, in which M16 played a big role. This being current day M16 running to it though is a stronger allusion to future actions. Also, the object on her back seems to linger longer than her, a reference to its importance later on. Then we have Genshin, the commander of the manga series and anime. Her name is based off the Genshin flowers, which makes me believe it's pronounced this way, but I'm not sure at all. She looks a lot more focused and energetic than normal, but you know, action shots tend to do that. Not much really here to say other than the fact that I missed her white hair. The action scene is not really grounded in anything. The obvious point of reference that you can kinda connect it to is chapter 0 of the game, or the first chapter of the manga, and probably episode 1 of the anime, as it's a similar environment, but no. Then we get to see the AR Team's logo, which has the same AR Team logo trivia that everyone points out, except I think the logo in the opening is actually not complete, as star section is cut off a bit. There's supposed to be a 3 at the bottom left of star to make the numbers 3, 15, 12, and 20. Yes, I know the 12 is really hard to read, which spells out Colt when you convert the letters into the English alphabet, as all the guns in the AR Team are Colt guns and are M4 platform adjacent. We then get a scene that I hope is a reference to chapter 6 of the game's story when Star goes out on her own, mostly because I want to see it happen. I mean, it's similar with M4 waiting for a helicopter extraction on top of a ruined building, but of course the circumstances are so different. And the transition to the final shot with M4's Griffin armband flying off to the distance, a not so subtle hint that her time at Griffin might be temporary. And that's what I could find. Sorry it was slightly annoying talking around spoilers, but hopefully it was obvious enough for secondaries who know a bit about the story to pick up what I was saying. And if I missed something, let me know, as long as it's not something overly obvious like they are named after the gun they're using.